Well, hello and welcome to Being Catholic Media. Glad you have joined us, where I'm joined again with Glenn Hudson from the Message of Garabandal to pick up from where we left off on our last chat. So hello, Glenn. It's great to have you with us again today. I know you're a busy guy all the way over there in America, so thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Carol, for having me on again.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, today we're going to just talk briefly about the apparitions themselves, how long they lasted, and I guess which were the most memorable ones.
So the apparitions of Garabandal lasted for 4 years, from 1961 through 1965. And there was about 2,000 apparitions in total. Mary would appear sometimes several times in the singular day. And this was to 4 girls. Now, Conchita, the main visionary, received those visions for the length of the 4 years. Most of the girls only received them for about 2 years or so. So the first one was in June of 1961, June 18th, is when St. Michael first appeared. That was the first appearance at Garabandal.
Right.
And then on July 31st, it was, July 2nd, was St. Michael appearing with the Blessed Mother. So that was the first time that Mary actually appeared, was July 2nd, 1961. And then those apparitions started each day. And during the course of those apparitions, Mary first bonded with the girls, talking to them about their everyday events, what their lives were like. And so she built a friendship with them before she really started to get into anything specific. And she also taught them the rosary, which they hadn't known. So people were amazed that these 4 young girls that are 11 and 12 years old, all of a sudden now, without holding a rosary, can recite the rosary. So it was the first sign of something miraculous going on. By June 31st, a lot of the apparitions' daily miracles started. And what I mean by that is the girls now would start to fall on the rocks. This is a mountain town that's just filled with rocks. So the first things that happened were they would fall either knee first or bodily onto these rocks and in an ecstatic state and feel no pain, reciting the rosary without having any. And then the doctors who were brought into the town by the local bishop started to test the girls in July. And these tests today would probably be considered abuse, where they started with simple things like trying to pinch the girls in ecstasy, and they'd have no reaction. And then they'd hit them, no reaction. They would throw sand in their eyes just to get them to blink, and they wouldn't blink. They'd flash camera bulbs in their eyes. They couldn't blink. Up to the point where they started to use matches just to see if they would react to being burned.
Oh my God.
Even that didn't, produce a reaction from the girls. Some of the other famous events that happened was in August 8th of 61, Father Andreo, a priest who came to Garabandal, actually had a vision of the future miracle. And on his way home that night, he passed away, but not before he had said that he had witnessed the miracle already. October 18th in 1961, the Blessed Mother, through St. Michael, releases her first message to the world. And if you want, I'll read you a copy of that.
Please.
It says, "We must make many sacrifices, perform much penance, visit the Blessed Sacrament frequently. But first, we must lead good lives. If we do not, a chastisement will befall us. The cup is already filling up, and if we do not change, a very great chastisement will come upon us."
Oh gosh. Okay.
So then, following those, the next year, June 19th and 20th of 1962, becomes one of the most famous nights in Garabandal. It's called the Nights of Screams. Right, where the girls actually have a vision of a tribulation period before the warning. And I believe we're entering that period now.
Yes.
And that the worst tribulation period, which is the chastisement
Yes.
that the girls talked about. In other apparitions, they may have called that the 3 days of darkness, but they are the same event. Just the people, the villagers, witnessing the girls' expressions so terrified the village that the next day, every single person went to confession.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
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 July 3rd of 1962 is another famous day. Conchita is begging the Blessed Mother for a physical miracle. People believe, because there still are people doubting after, 2 months.
Yeah.
So the Blessed Mother tells Conchita on July 3rd, 15 days from now, a host will appear upon your tongue.
Yeah.
Tell them that. So on July 18th, that night, just after midnight, Conchita is kneeling down. She's surrounded by, dozens and dozens of people because the word got out that this miracle was going to happen. And it's not only eyewitnessed by countless people, but it's photographed and filmed where a illuminated host appears on her tongue out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And her head never moves, her hands never move, they're never near her, her face. So this is a confirmed miracle announced 15 days in advance.
Yeah, and you can see that. You can see that it's the footage is irrefutable, as we've said in a previous interview. I mean, it's all there. It's all filmed. It's all recorded. It's amazing that we still have this footage to see today. It really is.
Considering the technology, yeah.
Yeah. As I said before, Glenn, in my previous chats with you, for me, Garabandal is one of the most beautiful of the Marian shrines, modern day Marian shrines, and I'm just so glad that you have given it the profile that it needs. But looking back now, Glenn, regarding the church's position, how it was then compared to how it is now, has much changed within that period of time?
Well, there has been some change, but there's a lot of confusion to why the church hasn't approved it. And I get asked this all the time. And most people really don't do their due diligence like I do to find out really what is the cause of the delay. And you have to go back in history to 1931. In a town in Spain called Ezquiaga, there actually was a Marian apparition to 2 children. And if you read about that, almost the same exact thing happened. She talked about a future miracle, a future chastisement. Wow. And these went on for about 2 years, these apparitions. The problem was that part of Spain was in the midst of almost a civil war with the socialists. And when they took control, if you're socialist / communist, one thing they try to do is limit religion because religion gives hope to people.
Yes.
So they want the government in control. So when they heard about these apparitions, the government ordered the Jesuits to tell these girls to stop talking about it. It was a girl and a boy. To stop talking about these apparitions. They want this message to stop. And if they don't, they're actually going to kill the Jesuits. And this is what happened was literally priests were dying trying to keep this message going before it was finally shut down.
My gosh.
Now you have to fast forward 30 years to 1961. Now the Garabandal apparitions happen. And the bishop at the time, Fernandez, says to himself, here we go. It's Ezquiaga all over again.
Yeah.
I've got children, the same message, the same miracle, the same chastisement, the same call for penance. He doesn't want to hear anything. He wants this squashed. Yeah. And he appoints a commission for the sole purpose of crushing this apparition. So he goes to the extent of not interviewing the girls at all. He doesn't interview their parents. He only wants to talk to people who disbelieve the apparitions and record those interviews. Mm-hmm. And he only goes to the village twice himself, 2 days.
Yeah.
Out of all these apparitions.
Yeah.
So now you have this, and he sets in motion, because he's bishop from 1961 through 1962. When he leaves and another bishop comes in, this bishop only has this information that he was provided.
Yeah.
So now bishop after bishop in the beginning is like, I'm not touching this.
Yeah.
If this is what he said, that's what must have happened. I'm just kind of letting it go. So we're stuck with this initial snowball getting bigger and bigger of disbelief or just leave it alone. And this commission was so bad that the priest that they appointed to head it up was so convinced that the apparitions were true, he resigned from the commission. The police commissioner called the apparition commission a false apparition, a false commission. So, I mean, two of the most important people on the commission called it a complete falsehood. So now we're stuck with this,
yes,
until later on, when finally Joey LaMangino in 1963 sees Padre Pio, and he is confirmed by Padre Pio that Garabandal is true. And he goes there, meets Conchita, and he gets the ball rolling of facts.
Yeah.
Getting out facts, interviews, pictures. All of a sudden now you have all these filmed and photographed daily miracles that are happening. So this helps the cause until 1966. It's now snowballing in a good direction, and Pope Paul VI decides to call Conchita to the Vatican for an interview. And on January 12th, 1966, she's interviewed by, his people, his commission, if you will, for 2.5 hours. And they so believe her that Cardinal Ottaviani believes her and sets up a meeting with Pope Paul VI. And Conchita meets with her mother, and I think it was a friend who they brought with them, and they had a private consultation with the Pope. And he so believed her story that Conchita conveyed the future date of the miracle to the Pope.
Okay. And do you know that date yourself?
No, I do not.
So she won't share that with you either.
She has not divulged that to me, and only once in all the 30 years that I've known her, over lunch one day, did she actually ask me what my opinion of the date was, and I was wrong, obviously.
Okay.
And that subject was never brought up again.
Okay, so so did she say it would be in your lifetime or anything like that? Would it be in her lifetime?
We know it's in Conchita's lifetime, because she's going to give an 8-day warning of the miracle.
Regarding then, so where we are now, in the current position of the church, has the church, where we are right now in its timeline, have they come out and said anything more about Garabandal and supporting it? Well,
the good news is that I told you earlier that the priest who headed up the commission that quit because he was so convinced, he actually later becomes the bishop of Santander, and Bishop Del Valgallo. And in 1987, he starts his own commission, a true one, and that report is sent to the Vatican. So they have that report. And because Pope Paul VI had the date of the miracle, he thought it was prudent to say, well, why don't we just wait for that date, and then we can approve it. We really don't have to go out on a limb and risk anything. But as of lately, two of the bishops have actually been more favorable towards it. And one of the bishops actually performed 2 mass celebrations in Garabandal and actually kissed one of the crucifixes that was kissed by Mary. So that action in and of itself shows, a changing of the mindset.
Yeah.
And that they're a little bit more accepting now. And the truth is coming out about all of the early shenanigans that went on, that they tried to discourage the belief. And, so now people are a lot more open to it.
Now, if we look at what's going on in the world right now with Ukraine and Russia, how do you think that the Garabandal message plays in to all what's going on in the world right now, Glenn?
Well, Conchita told author Albrecht Weber in 1965 in an interview at her house that there were going to be three conditions before the warning. One would be a synod, and we obviously have a pretty famous synod already, even though they haven't met.
Yes.
It's already controversial.
Yes.
The second condition was going to be when communism returns. Now, in this 1965, this didn't make sense to Conchita and most people. They're saying, what do you mean? Where's it going that it's got to come back? Nobody would ever think that Russia would have been, disbanded as the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And now it's trying, and this is exactly what Putin is trying to do, is a reemergence of the Soviet Union by taking back
Ukraine,
this land that was he considers his. And the a third condition that Conchita had laid out, in addition to the synod, when communism returns, is that the Pope would return from a trip to Moscow, and she said Moscow specifically. And then when he returns, there's going to be hostilities breaking out in Europe. And all of this is going to come to a culmination, and then the warning is going to happen.
Right, okay. So we've lots to look forward to then. Lots to look forward to. So I know you're very busy with the Message of Garabandal. Perhaps you can share with us what you're up to. I know you're doing a lot of stuff in different languages. You've got so many projects going on. Really, the Message of Garabandal has exploded, which for me tells you really about the fruit of this wonderful shrine. So tell us where you are right now with it all.
Well, back in December, I had, I believe, somewhat of a message to kind of step things up a little bit. So I decided to increase the languages that I write in daily. So now I post in 12 different languages. So if you come to my English page on Facebook, it's called The Message of Garabandal. I will give you the links to the 12 different languages that I'm posting in every day, and each page gets the same information. So it's consistent every single day. And those pages are interactive. And I don't know too many pages that any Garabandal apostolate has that are interactive every day and get answered your questions every day. And
so tell me, do you have people working with you simultaneously? Obviously, people will speak different languages, and so I guess you had to organize. This must have been a mean feat for you to do this, because obviously you'll have people doing all of this in different languages.
Well, what I did was I used a couple of different search engines to find out which one produced the most accurate copy of the information I'm providing.
Okay.
Once I found that, then I went out and found two people that were fluent in English and that language itself.
Okay.
So what I do is when I post, I actually post it to one of these people. I made them administrators for that page, and I set up the page. I post it to them in English, and I say, make sure this translation is perfect. And so then they give it back to me. So a lot of this work is done the day before because of the different time zones.
Yes.
Like I'm in Japan, China, the Philippines. Those are 13, 14 hours ahead. So I have to prepare them the afternoon before, send them out, have them translated, and then post them. So it's because it's actually the next day there. But that's how we try to keep all the information accurate. And this is the beginning. I really would like to more than double the amount of languages that I'm in now before the end of this year.
Our Lady has given you some task, Glenn. There's no doubt about that. But look, I know you're busy. So just before we go, have you anything, a message of hope to give to people? Maybe those who maybe don't believe that much in Mary or God. In light of what's going on in the world, we've had such crisis between the coronavirus and now we have the Ukraine and all this. What would you say to folk who may be feeling a wee bit depressed? Their outlook is not so great because they feel, well, look, what have I got to look forward to? And now I have this warning coming upon us. So what would you say to people who feel that life is doesn't offer a lot of hope for the future.
Well, actually, there's a great hope, and it's called the warning and the miracle. And I as much as I dread the warning for being exposed to my own sins, the ones that I know about, and especially the ones I don't know about, but that's going to be a great thing. And I tell people, don't be so fearful. I said, try to imagine this. You're going to know what God knows, just a little bit of what he knows, but he's going to explain to you the gravity of sin so that you understand what it is when you do it, so that you don't do it again. I said, imagine that. You're going to have some knowledge that God has. It's an unbelievable blessing. And then after that great blessing, you get even a better blessing, which is back at Garabandal. He's going to perform a 2-stage miracle to convince the world that the warning that you got was from him. And really, this is the last chance for us to repent and change our ways, or else somewhere down the road there could be a chastisement, a punishment. But at least he's giving us this. He's giving you the warning. He's giving you a physical miracle that's undeniable. So there's great hope for conversion in the world. And Jesus, in a locution to Conchita, actually told her that this warning and miracle, and especially the miracle, will result in the conversion of Russia.
Oh, wow.
So whatever's going on now, it's just part of prophecy. It's going to happen. We'll get through it. It won't be pleasant. We'll get through it. But the light at the end of the tunnel is that Jesus promised Conchita that this will at least lead to the conversion of Russia. And if that can be solved, then there's got to be great hope for the rest of the world.
Yes, and I also think it will bring us back to basics. It'll bring us back to God's divine will as to how he wanted to have life with us before the fall. And I think it will be a fantastic opportunity for us to start again with God the way that he originally intended for us, which was to live in harmony with him. So like you, Glenn, I wish that he would just usher it on. And like you, I'm kind of nervous about, what I have done or what I haven't done. But at the same time, I'm very excited about the future. And I want to thank you, Glenn, for what you're doing, because this is a remarkable project. And I'm so thrilled to see that Garabandal is getting what it so deserves. And I thank you for all that you're doing. And look, we'll keep in touch, of course. But in the meantime, the very best for all of your projects. And I pray and hope the Blessed Mother will continue to inspire you and bless you as you move on.
She has. And thank you, because you're one of those blessings that she gave me, is being able to use this as a venue to reach out to people that I would never be able to reach out to. So thank you for helping me.
Oh, you know what, Glenn, it's a privilege, and it's a privilege, like I say, to know you and to see what you're doing. So look, again, thank you. And we hope with this will reach as many people as possible in order to save their souls for now and for the future. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, and God bless all
your
viewers.
Bye-bye.
Pass the message around. Thank you.
I will, of course.